Well, good morning. Oh, I'm not on. Hello, hello. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello. Hi there. There we go. Good morning, everybody. Happy Labor Day weekend. Happy Grandparents' Day. Maybe you didn't know today is Grandparents' Day. So we're celebrating that, of course, too. And I want to welcome all of you to Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. Come on, take your seats, just for a few moments. I'm Reverend Mary Marie Shelton. I'm the community spiritual leader here. Happy to welcome all of you this morning on this lovely day. Happy to welcome those of you online with us. Thanks for being here this morning on this Labor Day weekend. So the way that we begin here is by making sure that we have enfolded everybody in greeting and welcome. So I'm going to invite you to stand up and walk around, introduce yourselves to the people you don't know, seek out anybody new, say hello to anybody you haven't seen in a while, introduce yourselves, and make one another welcome. And as you are at home, those of you who are at home with us this morning, I invite you to pour yourself another cup of coffee or tea and just allow yourself to know that you are welcome here. We're glad you're with us, and we'll be back in just a moment to sing our opening song. All right, great. Come on back and have a seat. Our special music this morning is by Daniel Nahmad, who's down in Orange County. We've had his music and his talkative presence many times in the room. So I'm going to invite you to stand. We're going to sing with him a song that we've sung with Nathan as well many times, but it's Daniel's song, Up, 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 or actually it's called Higher Place, Up, 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 but you know that. So please stand and join us. And this is a little different tempo, the way that Daniel does it, so you'll catch on to that since you know the song.
Hello, my friends at Golden Gate. It's Daniel Nahmad again. Happy Sunday morning. So glad to be with you again. This song came to mind as an opening sing-along for us all to do. It came to mind because of the title and the theme of this morning. It is a song I almost never sing. Every so often, somebody who has listened to my Sacred Love album from like 2003 comes up to me and says, "Would you do that Up, Up, Up song?" And I know exactly which one they're talking about. And it is, I think, how we're going to start this morning. I hope you enjoyed it. It's kind of a fun one. Up, up, up to a higher place. Up, 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 far beyond this time and space. Up, up, up to a higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. Higher place, higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. No more forward, no more backward, no more spinning around and around. My life is moving ever upward. My feet are leaving the ground. Oh, up, up, up to a higher place. Up, 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 far beyond this time and space. Up, up, up to a higher place. I feel my soul rise to a higher place. There
Give
you
yourselves
go.
a hand.
Thanks. See you in a few minutes.
Yeah, thank you. All right. So, boy, I'm really pleased to see so many of you on Labor Day weekend. This is really great. Yay, I love it. And by the way, today is Grandparents' Day. How many of you are grandparents? Stand up if you're a grandparent. Yeah, we have a good, I hope you're standing up at home if you're a grandparent. Yay, grandparents. Yay, yay, yay. We celebrate you. All right. So you may be seated. This is our time now to go within. So I want to invite you to silence your cell phones. If you're online, you don't have to, but you might want to, so you don't want to be interrupted. And we're going to go within now and center ourselves. So I'm inviting our morning prayer practitioner, Lori Greer, up for maybe her final time doing the opening prayer for us. One more in October. Okay, great. So just forewarning, she's moving to Reno. So we're delighted to welcome up Lori Greer to do our opening prayer.
So turning within to that higher place, to the awareness of that one life that lives and breathes and manifests itself into form through all that is. That higher place that calls to us to come within, to be with it in all of its glory, all of its goodness. The infinite nature of it is intelligent, beautiful, joyful, loving, abundant. The nature of God, consciousness, is that. And each one, I am a part of it. And everything that is happening in all of life, in each one of our lives, everything that is happening is the unfolding of it, the unfolding and the reflection of consciousness. Everything that is happening in my life today, yesterday, tomorrow, into infinity is God. No matter how chaotic it might look, how painful it might feel, even how joyful its expression might be, I remember that it is all God. And there is nothing that separates me, nothing that separates us from it. We are so a part of it that there is not any space at all between us and it. And so I claim and accept and know for each one that the power that it holds, the power that it is, the love that it is, the abundance and prosperity, the joy and connection, the divine order that it is within each one of us. And we have access to it. We can call upon it. We can take hold of it and use it. Use it to create the next greater yet to be. And so each life is that consciousness unfolding into its more expansive, more joyful, more connected, more abundant life. And so I give thanks for knowing this truth for each and for all of life, for knowing that we live in this consciousness that continues to unfold and expand in unknown, innumerable ways. And I give thanks for knowing, as I release my word into the power of the creative law, that it is made manifest in the here and now at the level of consciousness for each and all. And so with a grateful heart, I release my word into that law, and I let it be. And together we say, and so it is.
calm and clarity in the midst of chaos. So this song came to mind. I have never done this one for you before either. This is from the most recent album, from the album called Real. I hope you enjoy it. Police car streams down the highway. Ambulance speeds downtown. Preacher pounds the pulpit. Jackhammer shakes the ground. TV reporter is yelling. Hurricane barrels in. Landscapers two-stroke engines. Like a NASCAR race, no one ever wins. So what can I do? Can't hear myself think. Can't tell what I'm feeling at all. Unless I keep my voice down. Keep my mouth shut. Keep my thoughts to myself. Yeah, I can only hear well when I keep my voice down. So we prattle our way through a party, and we shout our way through a fight, and we clamor for a crisis so we can give sage advice. And we've never felt more divided. Still we talk ourselves to death. Well, if we listen to the uninvited, is there a chance we would meet ourselves? Gonna keep my voice down. Keep my mouth shut. Keep my thoughts to myself. Yeah, I can only hear well when I keep my voice down. Keep my mind open. Keep my ear to the ground for a whisper of a sound. Gonna keep my voice down. And when it comes down to my boy and wife, do I really listen to what's on their mind? When a feeling has been building up, do I let them talk or do I interrupt? And when there's a song for my soul to write, I can never begin with a manic mind. I've just gotta shut the door, turn off the noise, and wait for the lines to rhyme as I keep my voice down. Keep my thoughts to myself. Gonna keep my voice down. Keep my mind open. Keep my ear to the ground for a whisper of a sound. Gonna keep my voice down. Keep my mouth shut. Keep my thoughts to myself. Yeah, I can only hear well when I keep my voice down. Keep my mind open. Keep my ear to the ground for a whisper of a sound. Gonna keep my voice down, 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 down. Keep my voice down. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Thank you.
Well, that was a thought-provoking song. I've never heard that one before. Almost makes me feel like I should say, thanks for coming and just sit down, you know? But, of course, you know me, so we're going to talk. A Grand Rising is our theme for 2024 throughout all the Centers for Spiritual Living. And this month of September, our theme is From Pieces to Peace. From Pieces to Peace. And so the question that I'm looking at this morning is, are we falling apart or are we falling together? Some years back, I had a children's church youth director. And we had some attrition for some of the teachers. And it was looking like, we were trying to scramble to get new ones to fill in and all that kind of thing. And I went by her office one day and she looked at me and she said, Reverend Mary, I know it looks like things are falling apart, but I know they're divinely falling together. And that has never left me because I thought it was such a brilliant repositioning, reframing of a particular experience that sometimes things have to look as if they're falling apart in order for something new to emerge. There was a preacher talking one Sunday and his theme was Forgive Your Enemies. That was his title. And toward the end of this already extra long service, he asked his congregation, now, how many of you have forgiven your enemies today? And about half of them raised their hands. So he was surprised. And so he went on for a little while longer, a little more forcefully about this. Now it was well past lunchtime. And he said, now, how many of you have forgiven your enemies today? And about 80% of them raised their hands. So he delved back in a little bit more, got a little more enthusiastic, gave some more examples, got a little deeper. And then he finally said, all right, now, how many of you have forgiven your enemies today? And every hand went up except for one tiny elderly lady sitting back in the middle. And he said, Mrs. Jones, are you still not willing to forgive your enemies? Oh, I don't have any, she said, smiling sweetly. Well, that is very unusual, Mrs. Jones. How old are you? 93. Mrs. Jones, what a blessing and a lesson to all of us to have you here this morning. Please come down in front of the congregation and tell us how a person can live 93 years and not have a single enemy in the world. And so she got up and made her way to the aisle, and she came down and she stood up on the platform, and she smiled out at the congregation, and she said, well, it's really very simple. I just outlived all the old hags. Now, is she falling apart or falling together? In this lesson of forgiveness, let's see, is outlasting people the same as forgiving them? Maybe not quite. So Mrs. Jones is somebody whose perspective apparently did not really change. And part of what I want to bring to our attention this morning is the fact that we always have the ability within us to shift our perspective, but very often we're unwilling to do that because we've gotten so familiar. It's like we've made friends, really deep, long-term friends with all of our opinions and all of our what we know and all of our thoughts and beliefs, and we don't really ever question them or give them wiggle room. I'm including myself in this, of course. This is sort of how we get comfortable in our lives. And maybe being comfortable is the booby prize. Maybe it's useful from time to time to be a little bit uncomfortable so that we can see something more clearly. Chaos. So there were a group of scientists who did several experiments where they had computers randomly generate, just randomly, So they would, sort of like create a 3D model of all these different dots. That was the randomness of it. And you could see the dots all over the place, just, random. But then what they realized was that from a different perspective, looking at it, an image appeared. And depending on what kind of random generation of chaos they were doing, it wasn't always this, but this was one of the images that appeared. It's not what you would expect. It looks kind of like a three-winged bird in a way, but it is actually an image of chaos. So from a certain perspective, there is a beauty and an order to what from another perspective is seen as chaos. And unless we're willing to shift, we will never see the pattern that's there. Now, maybe in some cases it's better if we don't know the pattern that's emerging, or we haven't seen it yet. Maybe we get in the way of it. I don't know. But there is a website, athos.com, and they had an article called Chaos Can Be a Good Thing, and this came from that. Chaos is one of the most powerful, dramatic opportunities you will ever experience in your lifetime. Chaos can liberate us from old mindsets and patterns of behavior that hold us back. In mathematics, chaos theory says that even in chaos, there is order. We're not talking about slight shifts in how we interact, engage, and operate. We are talking about a revolution in how each of us sees the world, concepts that currently don't exist, for which we don't even have language, suddenly take shape. And then he gives examples. He says it was during a quarantine that Isaac Newton developed his theory of gravity. That it was during the oppression of the British Empire in India as they were trying to deal with the control of the 1918 flu outbreak that it dawned on Gandhi that the poor, unarmed people could win against an armed, powerful army, the most powerful army in the world, nonviolently. And the Renaissance emerged out of the plague. So all of those were huge instances of tremendous chaos, out of which something broke through that was not a little incremental move forward, but launched the entire planet into something new and different. Partly because it had to happen, partly because people needed it, but it wasn't something that happened easily and smoothly. Even the emergence of these ideas got surrounded by more chaos for a while, until a new pattern began to emerge. So when you see a pattern of chaos in 3 dimensions, it just looks like a completely random chaos. Maybe you've walked into an art installation where they have little piece of paper or something hanging from the ceiling. And when you walk into the room, you see an image. But if you walk around it, all you see is a bunch of stuff hanging at different levels all over the place. It's only from a certain angle, from a certain perspective, that you really see it. So in 3 dimensions, this appears to be completely random, but when we see it in 2 dimensions, then the pattern starts to emerge. We begin to see the clarity of that pattern emerge. This is the process, chaos, of moving from something known and having that evolve into something unknown, something new that's coming forward. So chaos isn't the end. I worked for a man a long time ago where we were talking about science of mind philosophy, and he said, well, since things tend toward entropy, they tend to just run down eventually, and so how do you explain that? And I said, well, how do you know that's the end? I mean, what comes after that? How do you know that isn't on the way to something else, and it needs to go there in order to transition into that? Well, that was a direction he hadn't thought of, so that became kind of an interesting topic of conversation for us. And I don't know where I thought of that, because it wasn't something I'd ever thought of before, but it came out of my mouth. So That was a useful example in the moment. You may have seen other examples of this. There are people who do art out in public spaces that, from a certain perspective, you can't tell what it is. It just looks like a distorted something or other, nothing clear. But if you look at it from another perspective, then you begin to see something else. Something you wouldn't necessarily have suspected from the way it looked originally. So the change in perspective reveals the design that's behind it. The journals of gerontology reported that negative attitudes toward aging cause people to react more negatively toward their own daily stressors. And those individuals are 50% more likely to experience a stressful experience like hospitalization. So having a positive attitude toward the process of aging is also associated with higher levels of life satisfaction, better self-rated health, improved social networks, and better well-being. All of that is happening. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, said, "I believe the relationship between God and humankind is hidden within. And when we discover a new truth or have a better understanding about an old truth, it is really more of this infinite mind revealing itself through us." But in order to have a new perspective on an old idea, or in order to let in a new idea, we have to be willing to actually shift our point of view. And that's not always easy. In fact, I might even say it's never easy for us to do. In this particular art installation, you just see all this random junk just laying there all over the place. But then, if you shift where you're standing for the angle of view, you get an image of Salvador Dali. He'd probably appreciate this. So when we're in the midst of this, we're invited then to shift our perspective, maybe out of curiosity, or just, bless you, a little bit of willingness to change or to shift, and we could see a huge improvement in our quality of life. So I'm obviously not talking about art installations. I'm talking about our view of other people, our view of life, our view of our own opinions, our own thoughts, our own beliefs even. If you've been around science of mind for a long time, here's a question. Do you ever question science of mind? Do you ever wonder, those of you that have been around it a long, long time, I wonder, is there another way of seeing this beyond what we've thought up until now? If there's maybe an even higher level of seeing this than what we talk about in our teachings. It's worth, I think, considering that everything we think we know, there's more. And we can be connected to that more just out of curiosity, by looking, by shifting gears, not intending to jump ship necessarily in any of these cases, but just to consider the other point of view or a different point of view. Deepak Chopra said, "Every day our actions exist on the cutting edge of evolution, the frontier where the mind is caught between caution and curiosity." Caution and curiosity. I think there are so many more ways in which I'm cautious than I used to be when I was young and foolish, or young and smart. I don't know. One of the things about being willing to be curious is that I allow myself then to consider that maybe I'm wrong about something I've thought, or a particular opinion that I've had. Now, I've had the experience where I've been very adamant about something and then found out I was wrong. It's very embarrassing. Nobody wants to do that. So maybe we don't want to find out that we're wrong because we might feel embarrassed by that, but there is some usefulness in the breakthrough toward greater understanding or greater awareness. what we learn is that being willing to change has a certain power to it that carries us forward in ways we might not have imagined. Rumi, who was a 13th century Sufi mystic, said, out beyond ideas of right doing and wrongdoing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. Somehow, if there was a way for us to fall together instead of falling apart, I'm wondering if some of the division and chaos and disagreement and even violence that we've seen in response to ideas across the planet, that maybe this chaos is actually starting to get a little tired. And it is working to throw more random things in to make the picture clearer for all of us so that we can actually step up in consciousness, step forward in our evolution, and see each other without this black and white thing that we've been getting into so much. It used to be, when I was a kid, that if people disagreed with each other politically, they could live next door to each other. They could even have conversations without getting into fistfights, without beating each other over the head with placards with the other guy's name on it or something like that. We didn't have to shoot people because they were a different political party. We didn't have to, well, you know what I mean. There was a time when it wasn't that divisive, but there have also been times in the United States when it was this divisive in the past, back when the Nazis were on trial, back during the McCarthy era. There have been times when the country has been horribly divided, during the Vietnam War. And yet, when we move forward from those, we come into a different place. And so perhaps this is a big explosion of sorts to assist us to consider different possibilities and perspectives, to see if we could, as Stephen Covey says, find a win-win, find a third way. Not necessarily a compromise, but it might look like that, where we try to give all sides something that is beneficial, something that is supportive and helpful, even if the general direction isn't as much as we want in one way or another, rather than being so absolutely locked in. Because when we're locked in, that's essentially being entombed. And we're not ready to be entombed because we're still breathing and walking around. So we have this opportunity to look at where we are in our lives, what we have succeeded in or failed in, where we've grown, where we've discovered more and felt like our lives got bigger, and where we've gotten stuck. And maybe this is the universe reflecting back to us places that we've gotten stuck. Now, the temptation is, right here in this conversation, the temptation is to think about all the ways the other side is stuck, right? That's not the point. The point is to actually be willing to consider how you and I might be stuck. And let everybody else do whatever they do. But to really consider, is there elbow room? Can I find any elbow room about these opinions, about these beliefs, about this visceral reaction that I get to something that disagrees with me, with my perspective? Is this making sense, what I'm saying to you here? When Ernest Holmes did his prayer for our country on the 4th of July in 1939, he was speaking directly to divisiveness that was happening on the eve of the United States getting into World War II. He was speaking about putting down the divisiveness, to seeing each other and holding each other as fellow citizens, as fellow participants in this country, and making space for one another's feelings and beliefs, respecting each other. He made a whole sermon about that. And that's our founder. We come from this gentleman's ability to look into things and see through conditions. You know, when Jesus said, judge not according to appearances, well, isn't that what we're doing? But judge with righteous judgment. Now, what does that mean? How do you judge with righteous judgment and not by appearances? Well, somehow we have to know there's something behind those appearances. There may be an injury, there may be fear, there may be hurt, there may be anger, there may be pain of some kind. And what we see is the presenting reaction to those experiences, just like we may have those experiences back here, but what we're showing up as doesn't show off any of these. It's just locked into a particular position. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Yes. So the best quality of life is not what happens to us when we're workaholics. It's not what happens to us when we're up on our soapbox 24/7. You know, the best quality of life comes to those of us whose perspectives can shift. Now, has your perspective ever shifted? Right, great. Has it shifted recently about anything? Oh, excellent. That's fabulous. That's wonderful. That's such good news because it opens us up. It means that right in this room, there is energy, there is consciousness around the possibility of a bigger vision, of a clearer view, of a greater heart. And isn't that what we're really here for as science of minders, as GGCSLers? Isn't that what we're really here for? To open to a larger heart and not to, close it down. I remember Ram Dass saying that at one point on his puja table, his meditation table in his meditation room, he had a picture of Caspar Weinberger on the altar. And he said, I disagree with Caspar Weinberger about almost everything, but if I put him out of my heart, then I've closed off a part of myself. And so every day when I sit down to do my meditation, I look at Maharaji, his guru, and my heart opens. And I look at this next, enlightened being, and my heart opens. And I look at Caspar, and I do my best to open my heart. Because that's the work. That's really the work. And to do that means that we have to find those places where we're a little uncomfortable. That's like a clue that our body and the universe is telling us, you're uncomfortable here because you're locked down. So breathe into that. Don't get mad at yourself about it. Just breathe into that and see if you can look at that with tenderer eyes. Just open your heart a little bit. It's like the story Mary Mann Morrissey told about a client in her congregation, a congregant, a member in her congregation who had not joined the church too long before. And he was somebody who had had a really rough childhood and teenage years. He'd been in gangs. He'd committed all kinds of crimes. He had injured people. He had done all sorts of things. But he had put that behind him and stepped into this teaching and really taken hold of it. And then his girlfriend and his best friend had an affair. And so he went in to talk to Mary because he said, I want to kill them. There is a time when I might have seen to it that either I killed them or they were killed. And I am so angry that I'm not sure I can contain myself. What do I do? And she said, well, one of the things that you need to be able to do is to look at their pictures and say, I wish you well. I wish you peace. I wish you happiness. I forgive you. And she said, even if you have to say, well, if a bus doesn't squash him flat, I wish him well. Whatever you have to do, that's fine. Do that And then he went away, and some weeks later he came back and he said, well, I did it. I mean, it wasn't easy, but I do feel more peaceful about the whole thing now. And what I have seen is that even though that was really hard to do and I didn't like it, and I threw in every negative way of killing them I could think of, like, if I don't smash his head in, may he be peaceful. If I don't stab her to death, may she have a happy life. You know, I forgive her, even if I strangle her. You know, I mean, he went through all of this to try and get himself to a place, excuse me, where he could let go. He came back to Mary and he said, I think it really helped. He said, I realize now that even though I am hurt, I love them both. I still love them both. So I do want them to be happy. It just hurts. There was a clear distinction. He had managed to tease apart his anger from his hurt, from his old reactions, and shift himself, not all at once, and not by being holier than thou, but by inching himself, willingly inching, dragging himself in that direction. Now, if somebody who had that background could do that, certainly we can do that. And so I'm not going to ask you if you've forgiven all your enemies or even your friends. But I am going to invite you to consider what might be behind any negative feelings you have toward somebody else. What other feelings are back there that maybe those are the ones that really want to be addressed? You know, Leslie's doing a workshop next Sunday about sacred grieving and forgiveness. And I think that this is linked. This idea is linked. So if you have any place where it's difficult for you to make a little space in your heart for someone, I encourage you to go to that 2-hour workshop next Sunday. You can sign up at the back or talk to Leslie about it this morning. She'll tell you more later. This is something we are always capable of. That ability to let it go. How many of you are familiar with the Sedona method? Ever heard of that? So one of the things that he tells you to do is I'll use one of my cough drops. Take your pencil in your hand and hold it like this, hold it really tight. Okay? And the longer you hold it and the tighter you hold it, the more painful your hand gets. But if you open your fingers up, then it just rests there. You don't have a grip on it. You're not locked in. And if you turn your hand over, it's gone. You let it go. He said you can let it go like that if you're willing to let it go. The question is, are you willing? When are you going to let it go? And when is always now. So in the mind's eye, we can let go of something. It may reappear, you know, clenched in your hand later on. What do? Well, unclench your hand, let it go. Little by little, inch by inch, we find ourselves more free, with greater perspective in that field beyond ideas of right doing and wrong doing. Let's meet there. Namaste. Thank you. Now, let's anchor this in prayer. So let's turn within for a moment. We always begin with God. Beyond all problems or appearances or conditions, there is a vibration, a presence, an infinite intelligence that is boundlessly creative and infinitely loving. Out of it, everything and everyone has come into being, made from the very stuff of this one, the soul stuff. Each one an individualization of this divine, unlimited presence. This is true of me. It's true of every one of us in this room, everyone watching and listening online, or those who will in the future. It is us, all of us. And within this great creative freedom, this boundless love, we carry the capacity as well. And so in this moment, I claim for each one of us listening that this freedom is breaking its bonds within us now, opening our curiosity, opening our willingness, motivating us irresistibly to shift our perspective, to move our viewpoint, to consider another way to look at a situation, a person, ourselves. I'm so grateful to know that in this freedom to choose and to shift, we are healed, transformed, uplifted, inspired, and filled with the joy of living, with the peace of being with rather than against, no matter who or what, because we are one. I give thanks to be reminded of this, for the creative law, for the work it does to reveal and bring this forward into form and being and experience. I'm grateful for the law and for knowing the law and this truth. So I let this prayer go into that creative law to do the work, knowing that it always says yes. I let this anchor within me and within my consciousness so that everything unlike it slips off and falls away and dissolves into its native nothingness. I let this word go into the law and just let it be. And so it is. Now I invite you to stand and join us in the morning affirmation together. When things are at their most chaotic, I take a moment to breathe. Take a breath. I remember this appearance of disorder is not permanent. I can choose to see it as moving toward higher order. I can choose to see things coming together in harmony and peace. And so it is. You may be seated. Would the ushers please come forward? This is our sacred offering time. We are the biggest offering, of course, that we give. Our willingness given into the world is a huge offering. For those of you that are online, if you would like to make a financial donation to Golden Gate today, we would love that. And you can do that by texting the dollar amount you want to give to the phone number on the screen and just follow the directions. For those of us that are here today, some of you are giving your regular gift today. I'm going to ask you to hold that over your heart. Those of you that give automatically, do the same. Hold that over your heart right now. Hold your hands over your heart right now as we bless and send out these gifts that we're giving, using this blessing together. This gift I give is God in action. I now send it forth to bless and to prosper. I know that everywhere it goes, it is creating a world living in love, one heart and one thought at a time. And so it is.
Well, earlier I sang a song about me finding my own center by getting quiet in the midst of chaos. This next song, another one I have not done for you before, is, at least not over videos, is a song that I did with my friend Nemo. He wrote the rap, and I wrote this little song 4 years ago, almost exactly, as the American election came crashing down on all of us with so much acrimony and fear and division. And I felt like there was something simple that was worth saying. And so I said it in this little song. Nemo heard the song, my friend Nemo, who lives in India but was visiting in Southern California at the time. And he heard it and he said, I like that one. And I said, well, if you like it, how about you participate in it? Give me a little rap and let's make it a collaboration. And so we did. So this song also appears on my most recent album, which is now coming on almost 2 years old, an album called Real. but you might relate to this one. And again, a song about finding something simple and peaceful in the midst of the appearance of tremendous disorder. Here we go. There's a left and a right, nobody ever seems to unmake up their mind and find the in-between. It's an endless fight, nobody can agree. Well, maybe it's time that you and I should meet in the middle ground. We're gonna find it. Yeah, it's the middle ground. Gonna find it. Yeah, in the middle ground.
Where I wanna be, but nobody sees
What I wanna see.
so I gotta leave what I'm trying to dream.
Cause everybody says Nemo got no practicality.
So I'm backing down the beat, little humble in my plea. We don't see eye to eye, but that don't mean that you I mean. What I'm really trying to say is what I really mean. No matter what our difference is, that I believe we'll meet in the middle ground.
Gonna find it. Yeah, in the middle ground. I've been thinking of a simple place that we can meet, a place that we can be, a place that we can dream. And I know you've been thinking of the same place just like me. So why don't we just stop for a beat in the middle ground? Does anyone know how to get there? Or have I lost my mind? Should I just let go and not care? Or do I dare to find the middle ground? Oh yeah. Gonna find it. Do-do-do-do-do-do. All right. Do-do-do-do-do-do. There's a left and a right. Everyone's tempted to say that the world is black and white when it's a million shades of gray.
Everybody's got their differences, but we can still be listening. We don't have to be missing and creating so much dissonance.
We are brothers and sisters no matter what your position is.
Divided, we will fall together, we will make a difference.
So what if a compromise is the answer that we seek? It's the middle ground.
Oh yeah.
United we stand, divided we fall now. Together we can make a difference. It's the middle ground. United we stand, divided we fall now. Together we can make a difference. It's the middle ground. I've been thinking of a simple place that we can meet, a place that we can be, a place that we can dream in. I know you've been thinking of the same thing just like me. So why don't we just stop for a beat in the middle ground, middle ground, middle ground, yeah. A place that we can dream in. I know you've been thinking of the same place just like me. So why don't we just stop for a beat in the middle ground?
Thank you, Daniel. All right. So on behalf of Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living, we do, all of us, accept this offering and send it out into the world so that we can see the middle ground. And so it is. Now, for those of you who are here for the first time today, I want to direct your attention to the information table back here, the welcome table where Galen is standing. There are all sorts of flyers and little books and things that are available back there as free to pick up and take with you. Please get a welcome packet from her. There's a blue card in it. If you take the blue card, fill it out and give it to her, she's going to give you a little book as our thank you to you for being here today and our invitation to you to come back and be with us often in the future. It's called Nourishing Thoughts. It's a little book of affirmations so that when you feel like you're stuck, that you can find a way to get unstuck with some of those. And if you're online with us this morning and it's your first time, send an email to administrator@ggcsl.org and let us know, and we'll send you one of these little books. So, by the way, Galen is the name of the practitioner who's standing back there at the table. So when you go back, you can say hi to her. And I want to thank everybody who set up today and did their sacred service in getting us ready. I want to direct your attention to this altar that the Frost family did this morning. Yeah. This is a jigsaw puzzle that's either falling apart or falling together. We're not sure which, because that was my question this morning. There are a lot of pieces on the table. There's a little map of what it's supposed to look like. It's a 300-piece jigsaw puzzle, but it's not quite finished, and maybe it's actually coming apart. We're not sure. But come up and take a look at it. It's a good metaphor for different ways of seeing, and we're really pleased to have had that this morning too. So let's acknowledge everyone that was involved in setting up and getting things ready for us this morning. If September is your birthday, then we want to sing you a happy birthday. So would you please stand if your birthday is in September? Oh, there we go. I was afraid Lynn was going to be all alone there. Yay, all right. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear September. Happy birthday to you. And it seems very appropriate for me to announce today, being Grandparents' Day, that a new being has entered the world on the 27th of August. And so we are grandparents once again, and we're heading up there to meet him and cuddle him and make food for his parents and just have a lovely time. So we're going to be on vacation for a little while. We want to also let you know that we want to ask you to invite someone to join you on the 22nd of September. We're going to have little gift things for our guests, and it could be a friend, a neighbor, a relative, a coworker, somebody you'd conned into it on the street out there, and just bring them. On New Members Sunday, we want to really give a rousing welcome to our new members, but we also want to make space for new friends. And so we're encouraging you to invite someone that might have a little curiosity about what the heck you're doing on Sunday morning to come with you on the 22nd of September. As I said earlier, Leslie, do you want to say something about your workshop? Okay, so the workshop is coming up next Sunday from 1 to 3. It will be at our office in downtown San Rafael. And if you don't know where that is, talk to Leslie after the service. And see, here's the thing. Go get a prayer from Leslie, and then you can ask her a question about her workshop. Perfect thing to do. And you can sign up at the back table or email our administrator at ggcsl.org to let Leslie know so she knows how many people to plan for. It's from 1 to 3 next Sunday at the Learning Center. The building is locked on the weekends. So you need to be there by what time, Leslie? By 5 after 1 at the very latest in order to get in. There'll be somebody down there to let you in. But then the door is going to be closed and locked, and if you're later than that, you won't get in. So be sure you get there early enough. All right. And for those of you that have expressed interest in sacred travel, I'm still waiting for Reverend Karen Fry to be back from the tours that she's leading right now so that we can do our Q&A and information Zoom with her, but that's coming, so don't lose heart. I will let you know when we're going to do that. I want to also encourage you to remember to see our new music director at the keyboard over here. When you come in on Sunday, just imagine the sound, the monitors, the microphones, the keyboard, and a lovely new music director over there having a great time with us. That is coming. Also, we have sessions coming up at the Marin Food Bank It's at the San Rafael warehouse for the San Francisco Marin Food Bank. And it's mostly just packing boxes with either certain vegetables or other things that can go then out to various centers for distribution that is nearer to the people who need that food. It's only a 2-hour shift. It's on a Tuesday from 12 to 2. And so there are 2 of them coming up, one each month, one September, one October. You can sign up for both or one by letting Ellen Nicosia, whose info is up on the screen, letting her know that you want to be part of either or both of those teams. Just give her your info. I am teaching a class that is going to be 6 Tuesday evenings on Zoom. It starts on the 24th of September. It is called Creativity and the Creative Process, and it's based on Thomas Troward's book, The Creative Process in the Individual. So this is really about not just learning how to use it, which you will do in other classes, but really learning kind of the mechanics, in a way, behind that. What is this creative law? What is the process of creating an experience, an outcome, an attitude that you want to create for yourself in the world? So the class is 6 weeks from 6 to 8:30, and you can register on our website. Also, I want to let you know that the last Sunday of this month is when we're going to be holding our memorial service for our beloved practitioner, Sue Ruda. We're doing it during the Sunday morning celebration. So if you're here that morning for that, we're going to do a special thing to honor Sue. And I recognize that, we have people that make their transitions a lot of times, and we don't do this kind of thing in the service for them. But because she's one of our practitioners for quite a while, very big personality, everybody knows Sue, that it would be easier for people to come if we did it in the service. And so that's what we're going to do. And it will be the last Sunday of September. Her daughters, Sue's daughters, are providing a light lunch after the service. So next week, and the week following, and the week following that, there will be a sign-up sheet on the back table. If you intend to be here on the 29th and stay for the luncheon, please sign the sheet. We don't have it back there yet, but sign the sheet so we'll have some idea of numbers to give to Sue's daughters so they know, to tell their person how many people they're bringing food for. Does that make sense? Yes, great. Finally, remember, the prayer table is not just a decoration. Those practitioners that are at the prayer table on Sunday are there to be in consciousness for us and also to be available for prayer following the service. So please go over, get a prayer. Leslie would be happy to pray for you this morning, and Frank is just there for decoration. He actually is a practitioner, but he's not really on duty today, so. What? You are praying for people? Go ask him if you want a prayer from him this morning. All right. So now I'm going to invite, before we do the blessing, I'm going to invite the practitioners to surround the room as we do a closing in mind and heart, recognizing right here and now the one presence fills this place. There's only one, and we are made from that one. In the consciousness of the one, there is no insurmountable difficulty, division, or separation. In the mind of the one, there is oneness. There is interconnected peace and harmony and beauty in creation at every single moment, including within us and in all the affairs of our lives. So we step forward into that greater awareness of this divine truth with gratitude and openness, with curiosity and willingness to move forward. And we welcome the divine compulsion to do so, the divine intuition to make those moves. And we let this prayer go into the law now, knowing that this is in motion for us now, and we are grateful. And together we say, and so it is. Now stand and join us for the closing blessing and song.
One more song for you this morning. I'm looking forward to being back in about a month to sing you some more songs. This one felt like the right one to end with. We haven't done it in a few months together. Song called Love Is My Decision. Here we go.
We know this song.
Love is my decision. It's up to me to give up my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision. My decision right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me. It's up to me to stand on that bridge. Stand on that bridge. Love is my decision. No one else can make me forgive, can make me forgive. Once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. God will show me how. Love is my decision. My decision right here and now. One more time. Love is my decision. It's up to me. It's up to me to dance down that road, to dance down that road. Oh, love is my decision. No one else can lighten my load, can lighten my load. And once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision. My decision right here and now. My decision right here and now. Thank you again. Have a wonderful Sunday afternoon, and see you soon.